Hey everybody, it's Fearsome Beaver here with hopefully the final episode of the serial killer. Adjusting my mic here. Last we left off, he had talked to my coworker the week before about his stolen goods, and he hadn't heard anything from my boss on whether we would pay him the $500. And she told him that, she hadn't heard anything, and that, did he put it in the right storage bin? And I wasn't there that day because I had something to do with the kid. And no, it was before the kid, so I think, I can't remember when it was. But anyway, it's not important. So the next week, he shows up, again, 6:30 on a Tuesday. And he walks in, and I saw him walking up the ramp, and I'm like, oh, just grabbing pieces of paper that are on my desk and just pretending like I'm really busy, because I really obviously don't like talking to the guy. So he walks in, he's like, hello Steve, nice to see you're actually here when you're supposed to be. I'm like, wow, really? I mean, really, asshole? Come on. I said, yeah, okay, well, what can I do for you? And he's like, oh, I'm sorry. I didn't mean any harm. It was just a joke. I'm sorry. And I'm like, yeah, okay, so what's up? And he's like, well, I was in here last week and talked to the woman, and she made a comment about me not putting my belongings in the right storage room. So yesterday I went downstairs and decided to take a quick look, and I walked over to bin 4, and it was still empty. And then I went around the corner, and there in front of bin 5 was all my stuff. That makes sense. I said, you do know that room 5 is yours and not room 4. He goes, well, I just grabbed one of the ones that was empty. And I said, yeah, but the day before I left on vacation, we talked about this. And I said that, your bin is number 5 because you're in building F5. And everybody, it goes by the numbers. And he's like, oh, that makes a lot of sense. Yeah, duh. He's like, well, I guess I forgot. I thought it was just first come, first serve. And I'm like, yeah, no. I go, well, glad it worked out. He's like, yeah, I'm glad it worked out too. I've decided that I want to, I'll let bygones be bygones. Which I had to bite my tongue. It's like, you have to let bygones be bygones? I didn't steal your stuff. Nobody stole your stuff. You said that we owed you all this money, and you gave me a lot of flack for it, and how, your dead priest of a neighbor stole all your stuff, and he's gonna forgive me for the whole thing. I'm like, but I bit my lip, and I'm just like, okay, sure, whatever, same here. And then he just sits there and he stares at me. And I'm just like, anything else? He's like, how are you? I said, fine, but I'm busy. Do you need anything else that has to do with the apartment or anything? And he goes, oh, I wanted to tell you, I found out who the tenant was that you said died in my apartment. And in the apartment biz, you got to be careful about telling people who's died and who's not, because when you tell them that they died in the apartment, that makes them think that somebody died in the apartment. Some people don't like that, but this guy died on a hospital bed, and I'm like, no, he didn't die in the apartment. I just said he died. He goes, yeah, no problem, but he was a friend of mine. He goes, the Reverend McGillicuddy. That's not his real name, but I'm not going to use his real name. And I said, yeah, that was him. And he goes, yeah, we used to work at the VA hospital together. Because we've had many spiritual meetings together. And I'm like, okay, cool. And he goes, Steve, can I ask you a question? I'm like, if I had, what? I know it's not going to be about the apartment, right? And he goes, are you a spiritual person, Steve? And I said, nope. And I just left it at that. And he goes, well, I can help you with that. I'm sure you can. Love to know how you would help me with that. And I said, yeah, no, not to be rude, but not my thing, and that won't be happening. And he finally, I guess, was getting the hint, and he wanted to, he's like, what did he say? You seem pretty put off by me. And I said, no, I'm just busy, and I don't have much time for non-business related discussions right now. And he goes, so when I was here before during the application process, you were much more, how shall I say, social did something happen? And of course, I continued to lie, and I said, no, nothing. I was probably busy at the time, but these days I actually have a ton of work to do, and I really need to do it. And he goes, you weren't just playing a salesman back when you, back then? I thought we made a connection. What? Okay. Maybe I was playing salesman. I mean, my job is to be a salesman. I sell apartments. I'm sorry if you took it the wrong way, but I guess, I don't know what to tell you. I don't generally spend my time here discussing my personal life with my tenants. He goes, okay, well, I guess I've overstepped my bounds. I'm really so sorry to disturb you. Take care. And he was definitely agitated, and he was definitely not happy about it. And I'm like, yeah, no problem, anytime. And so he left, and to be completely honest, I didn't hear from him. God, that was, I can't even remember when that was. That was probably in July. And I didn't end up leaving until February. My last day of work was February. So I didn't see him for August, September, October, November, December, January. I didn't see him for a good 6 months. And I didn't miss him. Can't say I missed him at all, to be completely honest, if I'm going to be completely honest. But then, as time went by, I mean, I'd see him here and there, but as time went by, he just wasn't, around, and things got normal, and then I had all these other crazy people to deal with, which I will discuss. But then, it was my last day. No, it wasn't my last day. It was a Monday. My last day was a Wednesday, so it was a second. It was 2 days before the end of my 7-year run at this wonderful place called work. And this gentleman comes in, and he sits down, and he's like, I really need your help. And I'm like, okay. And he says he is the power of attorney for the serial killer. And he is also the serial killer's health advocate. Seems serial killer had some major mental issues. He was bipolar. He was dangerous to himself and dangerous to others, and had been committed a bunch of times in his life, and most recently, the last 6 months, he was in a mental institution, which explains why I didn't see him for the last 6 months or so. So that sheds a light on why I thought he was creepy, and I have to say, it makes me feel good that I can spot these things right away, as I did. Just makes you feel like you got a good judge of character on people. He stated that he had dinner with the serial killer Friday evening, and no one's seen or heard from him since. He hadn't shown up for his job. I guess this was a Wednesday, and then my last day was a Friday, so that makes more sense. So he wasn't at work Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and he wasn't answering his phone, blah, blah, blah. And he wanted me to give him access to his apartment to check on him. First off, I have no idea if this guy's telling the truth. I mean, this guy could be anybody. I don't know. And so I was really hesitant in letting him do anything. And he's like, I can go get you paperwork, but it's going to take like 2 hours, and, don't know what time you leave. And that was kind of a problem because I didn't want to be there any later than I needed to be. It's probably not the most secure way to do my job, but I just like, I'm just not comfortable with it. I kept wanting to talk to him about how dangerous. He kept saying, he's dangerous to himself and others, and I felt like Murtaugh in Lethal Weapon. I don't know, the guy who Danny Glover played. He was always on the verge of bankruptcy, and I basically told this guy, I got 2 days left, and I don't want to get into a dangerous situation with this guy by going into his apartment, entering the bill, entering his apartment, and you're sitting here telling me he's dangerous. I can't do it. I said, can you, if you want to call the police or something like that. And he's like, no, please, if we can just enter the building and pound down the door. Just knock on the door. You don't have to let me in, but let's just knock on the door and see if he's home, because I kept buzzing him, but let's just knock on the door. I'm like, fine, damn it. So the minute I entered the building, it was obvious what the outcome of this whole thing was going to be. And what's amazing is that this building that he lived in housed the most picky, annoying tenants you could have in one building. I mean, we had one woman who the people who would shower annoyed her, that she thought they were building bombs in their shower, and that's why they ran their shower at night. And she thought, since they were foreign, that they were terrorists. The other one could never sleep and made us try to reschedule when the sprinklers came on, because the sprinklers woke her up at 5 o'clock in the morning, and it would piss her off. I mean, I could go on and on about the things these people would complain about. So I don't understand why none of them called and told me about the horrid smell that was in the building. I mean, it makes no sense. It smells like a dead person is in your apartment building. And in front of the serial killer's door are like 5 or 6 newspapers sitting there. So he hasn't picked up his papers in 5 days. His car is sitting right outside, and it smells like death in the damn building. Didn't that tip anyone off that maybe they should call someone? I mean, it's so annoying. It's ridiculous. So we make a game of it, and I guess I pound on the door and see if we have any reason to believe, he would just come sauntering down the hall and open it and say, hey guys. But instead, we had to open the door, and there's my cat, and she's going to mess this all up. I hate this stupid cat. I don't hate her, but she's pissing me off. So, sorry to ruin the climax, but we open the door. Smells worse. He's bloated. Skin was all black and blue color. It was horrible. Worst thing in the world. Don't enjoy it. He was my second dead person I had found in my 7 years. We called 911, got the police out. We had to go through a bunch of questioning since we entered the apartment. We're the ones who found him. The medical examiner stated that they thought that he clearly died in the middle of the night, Saturday morning. So that was Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. So yeah, that's why things had gotten pretty bad. And I don't know whatever happened. They said it was either suicide or because there was a bunch of pills laying around. But he did have a heart condition, so it might have just been his heart medication and his heart gave out. Nobody knows, but that was suicide or heart. I don't know if it ever became anything else. Luckily not murder. So spending a couple hours in my office with his advocate, and he was telling me he's been off and on his medication, and when he's off his medication he can get pretty angry and gets a little crazy. And I talked to him about some of the stuff we talked about, and he said that it was a bunch of stuff he told me it was a lie. He was just a crazy guy. And that was it. I hope you enjoyed the story. I hope it ended well enough for you, but kind of sad, really. But I will let his memory live on by telling this story. And thanks for watching, guys. See ya.